Hi, this is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com and also healingsuicide.com. I'm an evolutionary astrologer and also a channel and an energy worker and a psychic medium. And this is, I don't know if it's a brief video or not, but I just want to talk about this little topic that in case it might be helpful to you. And it's about, I don't know if it's the difference between Jupiter and Neptune, but I just want to point something out that, again, in case it's helpful as you think about Jupiter and Neptune, I am going to talk a little about Sagittarius and Pisces and also the 9th and 12th houses, but I don't consider houses and signs the same. There is a video here on my channel called something like Houses and Signs Are Not the Same, wherein I very dramatically express my emotions and my frustration that people seem to be learning from some sources and astrologers and books that they're the same. Anyway, so there's a thing about the Jupiter archetype. Let's say it that way. The Jupiter, well, you know what? I'll set this up this way. I'll talk about the Jupiter archetype and the Neptune archetype. Jupiter and Neptune are parts of your psyche, parts of you that seek expression and have experiences and seek this unfolding along this arc of evolution. They're parts of you, Jupiter and Neptune. Sagittarius and Pisces as signs are ways of doing things, they're methods and motivations. Planet in one of those signs is inspired or motivated and uses the methods of those signs, right? It's still that planet, whatever it is, part of your psyche, working through the lens of this, right? And then houses contain parts of life related to, in the 9th house case, issues about belief system, philosophy, worldview, and 12th house, some direct experience of higher truth or something. Anyway, so they're not the same, but I am going to talk about the Jupiter archetype, Neptune archetype. That'll make it a shorter video instead of going through comparing each of the three pairs. So the Jupiter archetype is about seeking a truth. It does represent that we have need to believe in something. And think about the optimism, forward-looking quality of Jupiter as this projection of possibility, right? I want to believe tomorrow can be better. I need to believe tomorrow can be better. Hey, I can. So there's a sense of needing to believe in something. Seeking what is worth believing in is another sometimes way to think about it. Sometimes with the Jupiter archetype, you're always searching. One of the handicaps is if you adopt something and then it turns out not to be true or the best option, and then you get stuck there because you have shame or embarrassment because you believe something that isn't true. In other words, part of the Jupiter archetype includes the need to upgrade over time. To evaluate, is this true? Well, I mean, for the last 30 years, I sure thought it was. What seems truer? That's part of the Jupiter archetype. The evolution of your belief system or your worldview, and the need to live into a tomorrow that's better. Okay, so there's that. The Neptune archetype is about an altered state of consciousness. It's different. It's about the need to have a sense of higher truth or connection with divine intelligence. So the Jupiter thing is reaching and searching. I want to know what is most true, or I want to know what's true, and I'm kind of working with what seems most true. The Neptune thing is what is undeniably true. And in my work, you would hear me say stuff like, what's capital R real, or what resonates as capital T true for you. And the difference is with Jupiter stuff, I want to believe. With Neptune stuff, that's undeniable. It's different. Now, if we don't have some direct experience of something that's undeniably real or true or resonant or something with the Neptune quest, we can get distracted by glamours, by facades and illusions. And that's hard. That's hard to, not just put your faith in something, but totally surrender to something, right? And that's the difference with Jupiter and Neptune. With Jupiter, you don't surrender. You run on this operating system, or you operate according to these principles. With Neptune, you might surrender, you might go with the flow. You might totally give yourself to something in a way where you actually lose self-definition, or lose boundaries, or lose an idea of who you are. I guess that's self-definition. So there's a difference. So Jupiter in your chart, just run through this briefly. Jupiter in your chart is the part of you that would be well served by optimism, but may experience pessimism. That part of you needs to expand and kind of project something into the future, whether it's positive or negative. But that part of you needs to believe things. That part of you will believe things. House and sign and aspects are important. With Sagittarius, any planet in the sign of Sagittarius will operate according to Jupiter's logic. So any planet will operate according to the beliefs, some beliefs. It could be Saturn kind of wearing a costume of Jupiter, right? Saturn and Sagittarius. Or it could be Venus, the way, Saturn, the way you mature, the way you introduce discipline, the way you become mature, realistic, whatever. That's kind of motivated by Sagittarius turns, right? It's not the same as a Jupiter part. Let's say Venus, the way you relate to people, the way you develop a value system, that could be, the way you hang out with people and who you want to hang out with. It might be motivated by Jupiter style inspirations or concerns, methods and motivations. Okay. And then in the ninth house, it's all the parts of life where we expand our thoughts, or we reach out to far off horizons to seek a truth. All the parts of life where we seek truth. So you've heard of, probably in your astrology studies, you probably heard religion is a huge thing, right? I had philosophy, and then this thing about long distance journeys over water, you know, other cultures from far away, and then ideas that if the old time idea is if you went on a long journey over water. I stole this from some teacher, I can't remember who. It was quite an investment in the old days. So it was really important you were seriously focused on seeking something far away. Okay, so that's the Jupiter thing. Neptune, as a part of your psyche, is the part of you that needs to surrender to a higher truth, that needs to know that you are part of the fabric of divine consciousness, that you're welcome on this planet, that everything's going to be okay, that you are the divine, that the divine is real and it's part of you and you are part of it. So the need to kind of transcend human reality, that part of you, that's in your chart. Any planet in the sign of Pisces seeks to merge and surrender, needs to let go, surrender, give up control, right? It's different. And then the 12th house contains all the parts of life which one must surrender control, whether this experience is happy or not. The reason I'm inspired to do this video, I just was doing a coaching call with an ongoing client who has several planets, including Sun and South Node ruler, which is important in how I do evolutionary astrology. The Sun, of course, is center personality. South Node ruler indicates, and it's the ruler of the South Node sign in the natal chart, indicates to me it's step number 3 in the karmic analysis story, a soul's journey story, of what the deep layer of identity that person is in many, many lifetimes, how that person shows up as a unique person. And it can be very different from the node in terms of symbolism or placement, which indicates the conditioned worldview. So Sun and South Node ruler are in the 9th house of philosophy, but his North node's in the 12th house of learning to surrender. And part of the conversation today involved him reflecting to me, I'm seeing what this looks like and it's weird. And anyway, anyone with a south node in this house is conditioned to try to control things and is very analytical and probably perhaps intellectual, but good with hands-on work, and may have belief conditioned in many lifetimes that I must get everything done. If something's going to happen, I have to make it happen, and I have to control things. Well, the north and the south house says I have to learn how to surrender. I have to learn how to let go and understand I don't know how something may work, but if I hold the intention, things will start happening because I'm vibrating the intention. It's a whole other story, but a manifestation of the 12th house is particular because houses 1 through 11 are living in the material world. House number 12, it contains all the parts of life where crazy crap happens, inexplicable synchronicities, weird things. Anyway, so it's different. How can I surrender? And so what I was pointing out to him is this Jupiterian archetype of including the ninth house, we're seeking something and seek forever. We may go from one teacher to another, one book, one principle, one style of astrology. So we might go from one to the next to the next. One source of advice, one teacher, one guru, one tradition, one practice, one whatever. One religion even. We might cycle through religions, even philosophies, right? But in the 12th house, we will direct experience. And for me, I'll just give you this little Dear Diary entry. For me, my grade. So I need to be open-minded, that's part of my learning. And when I hit my first Saturn return, I became more open and started doing astrology shortly thereafter. More kind of intuitive and open-minded, right? But my Pluto and Venus house. So I was searching with my Saturn for what was true and learning some stuff from human astrologers. They said this is what soul and karma are. It didn't feel true. I was like, well, yeah, I get that those come from religious conceptions of what karma is and what reincarnation is and what soul is. But I'd already read about those before. They didn't feel true then. They didn't feel true in my Religion 101 class at college, Religious Studies 101. So I asked if there were any beings that I could channel who would help me understand this. And this being who was Hermes, or Jehudi, or Thoth, or Saint Germain, or Merlin, that being came through. When that being would talk, I would have this sense in my body like I was stuck. I was stopped in my tracks because it wasn't a neat idea, Saturn in the ninth house. It was vibration changing me. So I was having a direct experience of channeled information as opposed to me seeking something that was true. So all that said, you can think about your Jupiter and Neptune archetypes and configurations in different ways, also those in other people, because one example is because a Jupiterian sickness is searching, and either getting burned out or getting, the volume turned up into like hyper searching, right? A Neptunian sickness is when you crave some direct experience of spirit or truth or goddess or God or something. Having it, and so life is meaningless. Anyway, on that note, whatever. And on that note, so maybe I'll just chatter for a bit. Anyway, no, that's the teaching. I just want to give you this little idea of, and I always have it in my head, think about how I got into it, was learning from people with ninth house emphases, but I couldn't stop until I had a 12th house experience that kind of shot the lapels. Oh my gosh, that's true. Anyway, if you want to learn what the product of all that was, the Evolutionary Basics 1 home study course is what to do. That's on my Learn Astrology page at tdjacobs.com. And also the Soul's Journey trilogy of books explains all that too. Thanks for your time and energy. That's the end of this video. Take care.